Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome. As you'll see pop up on your screen as you come in, we have a poll and a quiz just to get things started and kicked off here. We are, in week 4 now of second semester. So, if you can please take a moment to take the poll here, and then we'll kind of go over and see where everybody landed and discuss. Hope you're all having a good week.
All right. May I take the floor for a minute,
Please,
Jenny?
please, please.
Thank you. Yes. Hi, everyone. Good evening and welcome to our class for today. I just wanted to remind you all to please open your camera at all times and also display your complete name so we can track your attendance accordingly. But if you're having any issues with either of your camera or audio, if you're currently engaged in an activity right now, please message YC staff will so we can take note of that in your attendance today and enjoy the session. Oh, by the way, if you're an SL or student leader or an alumni, kindly put alumni or SL before your name because we'll be doing a breakout room today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris.
Jenni Gomez, Wendy Gomez Sarat, Valerie Gonzalez.
Oh, okay. Did you catch that from Wendy? She's at an awards ceremony. Um, got it. Okay. I am gonna go over the poll question. Can you pop it back up on screen, Chris? I lost it.
Yeah, I can end the poll now,
Okay,
and then we'll share the results. Thank you.
thank you.
Can you see it
Perfect.
now?
Yes,
Okay.
I can see it now. Thank you so much. Okay, so this week we're going to be talking problem solving. So as you can see, the polls are kind of geared towards that. When you face a problem, what's your first instinct? The majority said try to fix it right away. So very proactive group here. And then think about what caused it. That's second. That's awesome. All right. Second question is which step do you think people skip most often when solving problems? We have kind of almost a tie here, defining the issue clearly and testing different options. Do you all test your options as part of like your problem solving technique? If I can get some hand raises, like is that typically what you do, kind of test the different options you have as you're like working through problems? Okay. All right. And last, which phrase best describes your problem-solving style? Planner. I make detailed steps before acting versus and then fast fixer. I jump straight to solutions. So can I hear from one person that chose the fast fixer, real quick and kind of elaborate on that? Can I get a volunteer? Any fast fixers? Are you guys going to be quiet today?
Feel free to answer, everyone. There is no right or wrong answers
There's
here.
no, yeah, we just want to chat through. Does it depend on, how big or small the problem is? There you go. Thank you, Andrew. Please
If we're
jump
going
in.
based off what kind of problem it is, then yeah, I'd say um It really depends how big the problem.
Yeah, I think
Are you
Andrew's
okay?
was in, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we got the little bit from him. So, all right. What about a planner? I make detailed steps before acting. Can I hear from someone that um, like takes steps to think about this a little bit more and how they approach a problem? Anyone, anyone? Abigail.
Yeah, so I like to plan, like thoroughly plan out what I'm gonna do before fixing any issue that I encounter because there's always a possibility that the plan might fail. So I go through like plans over and over again so that I can assure that my plan is gonna work out.
That's awesome. Do you like, what is your process if you don't mind me asking?
Well, it starts with like a big idea, like to solve the problem, and then I start shrinking it down into like the steps that I'm gonna take to fix the problem.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, thank you so much for sharing. It's always easier when you can like chunk it up into smaller pieces as opposed to like looking or trying to it becomes very overwhelming when you like look at something in this, huge as a huge problem and how to tackle it. All right. Well, thank you so much. All right, let's get into it then. All right, perfect. Yes, as I mentioned, we are going to be talking about problem solving today, exploring different ways in which we can, solve for big problems, smaller problems, any problems whatsoever, and kind of going through like the thinking behind it and, um, how to successfully look at something, a challenge. Next slide, please. So last week we covered taxes, or Jenica covered taxes. It was I found to be a very a dense subject matter. It can be very confusing. We looked at, what taxes covered, why we paid them, what they supported in terms of public services. We talked about maybe the different types of taxes that exist. It really depends on like what it goes to, um, and how each contributed to these different responsibilities. We learned about the basics of filing taxes and how to read a paycheck correctly and, how that's applicable to your own lives, possibly currently and in the future. Next slide, please. For this week, can I get a volunteer to go over the learning objectives? Volunteer
I'll
to read? Oh,
go ahead.
perfect. Thank you. Go for it.
Go ahead, Leticia.
Learning objectives. Learn and apply the six-step problem-solving circle to define issues clearly, generate options, test solutions, and create actionable plans that can be redefined through reflection and adjustment. Use the five whys techniques to identify the root cause of problems, moving beyond surface level systems to uncover deeper, more meaningful solutions. Straighten critical thinking by developing a growth mindset, breaking complex problems into smaller steps, and practicing creative exploration to generate innovative and effective solutions.
Perfect. Okay. So essentially, I think this is just looking, thank you so much, Leticia. I think this is just like a way, like you've already probably figured out how to do this in your own head, but this is applying a little more of like the science behind it, like real, like science behind it, the six-step problem solving circle and the five whys. So we'll explore that. And you likely already kind of use these techniques to begin with, at least it sounded like beforehand. But we'll explore that a little bit more in this week's class. Next slide, please. All right, so we mentioned the six-step problem-solving circle, and really this like takes you through the different steps or cycles that you would go through as you are kind of facing an issue on your hands. So the first and obvious is obviously the defining the issue. So I don't know, for example, if we're going to use like a real life example, like if you find that you know you are, let's see, not doing the best in your class, and you're realizing maybe that the homework is an issue, like maybe you have some late assignments coming in. The first thing that you realize is, okay, my grade could be better in this class, right? But even drilling it down to an even more granular level, like you would probably take a look and see if it's your tests versus your homework versus your participation. So you really want to define clearly what that issue is. Um, and get down to like the root cause of it so that you can properly address it. And in the next phase, you would develop some options, right? Like how would you attack this issue? Like what are some solutions that you can put in place um, to uh, get you through this sort of issue that you're experiencing? Um, you just want to get something down on paper. Like I'm sure like I could study more. Maybe I'll turn off my device. Maybe it's just you're in the brainstorming process, right? Like you're thinking what you can possibly do. You haven't really put a plan into place. In this next phase, step three, you would test these options out. You would get a little bit more into it, weigh the pros and the cons of the different things that you outlined, like different solutions that you outlined. Should I, what would be the pros to maybe turning off my phone during these times? And maybe there's a con to that as well. So, really just drilling down and looking at it from a 360 point of view because there's benefits and not such great outcomes to anything, right? So you would test those different options out. Um, in step four, after weighing all of these options, you would select an option. What's the best way you think after going through your different weighing what's good, what's bad, what rises to the top, and you actually go with an option here in this next step. Um, and then from there, you can even write out a plan. I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but like putting pen to paper and writing out a plan and committing to something kind of helps also flesh out your idea a little bit more. So now you've got something more defined. You've got one track. You're working towards one goal, and you're writing it down. And it takes different shape, and it also holds you a little more accountable, I think. And the last and final step is putting this all into play and finally executing on that plan. You can watch how you're progressing and see how that's going, if it's responding, um, and make any adjustments that you think, are needed in order to get you through and address that issue successfully and find a solution. I'm curious here if I may stop. What are, is there something that you all had to kind of get through this week, big or small? It could be at school, it could be anything. It could be your driving lessons, for example. Any particular issue that you kind of had to work through this week and maybe follow these steps? Love to hear from one of you. Team, please feel free.
Let's hear from Kendra Alcantar.
Um, for me, I think it was like for this week, it was just tests, maybe because I have calculus. So a lot of the time, like, I'm like just thinking about tests, and that's like a good amount.
Was it finding the time? Like, was that the real issue? Is finding the time to work it in with your busy schedule or anything else that kind of?
Yeah, like, because I also do other stuff, like
Mm.
sports. So, a good amount of time, like, I find it hard to find time to study.
Okay, great. That's a perfect example. And so how did you address that issue? Did you feel like you kind of walk through some of these steps?
Yeah, like I've planned out like a good amount of like how much time I would have to study and
Hmm.
like help me with that.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. I think we can go to the next slide, our workbook question. All right, perfect. So let's actually take this offline. You all can work on this. We'll put 33 minutes on the clock and answer this question. Which step do you think people tend to skip most often and why? So strictly opinion, whether it be yourself or you've seen somebody else, a friend, siblings, whatever. What step do you think that skipped? They skip from this particular process and curious to get your thoughts and let's meet back here in 3 minutes. And yes, the workbook will be dropped in the chat. Chris? Yeah.
So we're opening the breakout rooms now, Jenny, correct?
Is this slide 7? Yes.
Mhm.
No, 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 not yet.
Yeah,
I,
thank you.
okay, thank you. All right. Well, welcome back. Let's be prepared to share and let's get into this a little bit more. Can I get a volunteer to maybe share what they wrote in their workbook, please? Julia. Yes, please. Thank you.
Something I said was approaching the situation. I think it's really easy for people to plan what's going to be said and how people are going to react. But really approaching the person about a tough situation is something I know I don't like doing. I feel like it's intimidating, and I see a lot of people usually like, oh, I don't want to do it. I don't want to face them yet. So I
Right.
think some people just like let it pass by and see. Because I know, unfortunately, I do that. But I know I just let it pass by, and hopefully things clear out if it's either with friends or personal life. But I think that's something really hard, and I think that's something that everyone goes through.
Oh, for sure. I mean, working up the courage to approach anyone on any level. It's like you're planning out how you envision the conversation going. So yes, 100%. That's incredibly difficult. Thank you. Yair, can you please love to hear your thoughts? Which step?
Uh,
Yeah.
the step I think the people often tend to skip is defining the problem clearly. I feel like people just jump. I just say like, people often like jump directly to solutions before understanding them.
That's such an interesting point. And it's like, how can you possibly um appropriately clear the issue if you're not really like getting down to the real root of the problem? So that's a really interesting point that you make, like not really understanding or getting into what is the actual issue at hand. And you're like kind of quickly define it and not really understanding it. That is such a great point. Thank, thank you. Anyone else? You guys are really quiet today.
You can call on someone, Jenny.
Yes,
Hmm.
please. Go ahead.
We wanted to hear from Jazel or Jazel, if I'm reading it right. Sorry.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So a step I think that people tend to like skip is like writing down the plan. I feel like many people like to, I guess, improvise. You know, I also kind of improvise my way, and I feel like I should be writing out like a plan before approaching the problem because I feel like it could it could allow us to reflect on how we approach the situation.
That's a great point too. Yeah, again, putting the pen to paper and being able to see how that actually works and like the steps that you need to take to get there, I think it solidifies everything a little bit more. Um, that is so, yeah, that's a great point too. All right, well, thank you so much for sharing all. Can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, so framing the problem, the five whys technique. So here you go. This is a great example. You have in identifying like that problem, exactly like what we were talking about just now. I failed my math test, that being the problem. Okay, so why did you fail your math test, right? Um, exactly. I didn't study. So, and you dive into that a little bit more and you follow up with why. And then what comes up? I didn't schedule study time. Um, and again, you ask the question why again, right? I didn't use my planner effectively. So you can see that you're tearing this back layer by layer to uncover a little bit more just by asking why? Again, why? All right, let's see. I haven't been consistent in using a planner. So your next one. I don't have a habit of planning ahead. So, um, exactly this is, I think that this is an example of how just not understanding the root of the problem can basically stunt any ability to be able to like move ahead and properly identify a problem and then see the problem for what it is and make those adjustments. Like, you know, um, using your planner more effectively and using your time more effectively. Like those like the importance of asking why here is really at the crux of the problem to be able to identify exactly what challenge you're being met with. So next step, please. All right, here is an online workbook question. So for this one, we're going to go in a breakout rooms. We're going to give you a chance to answer this question first and then move into your breakout rooms. So the question being, think of a problem you faced recently. What might have happened if you stopped at the first why versus going deeper? So have a think, answer your question, and let's be prepared to chat about this in our groups, please.
Jenny, we only have like two alumni and one student leader. So there will be like 9 or 8 participants in a room. Can we extend the time to 4 or 5 minutes instead? So everyone has. Sorry, you're on mute.
I'm on mute. Yep. Yes, let's do that. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm gonna open the rooms now.
Perfect. All right. I hope you guys had some great discussions. Anybody want to take this to the larger group? Like what came up for maybe in one or two groups? Can we get can we get a little conversation going here? What came up for their group?
I can start.
Thank you.
Um, so, well, I mentioned I was using a personal situation in my life. I think a situation happened with me and my friend, with one of my best friends, and it was more of like rumors going around, typical high school, obviously. And at first, obviously, I reacted like angry. I was like, "That's one of my best friends. Like, how is that possible? Like, how can she do that?" And if I would have stopped at the first why, I would have lost one of my most important friendships since elementary school. And instead, I dived deeper and actually I approached her and asked her about the situation and asked if it's true because I think we're all quick to believe what we're hearing instead of approach the person. So I went up to her and asked if like it's true and everything and her feelings and what made her feel like that. And then now we're back to being best friends.
That's awesome. Do you feel like sometimes too, thank you for sharing, Julia. Do you feel like sometimes too, like maybe what can mire our ability to see things clearly might be like the emotional response to it too. And like it doesn't, you're not able to see things for what they are. Like you're the adrenaline's pumping or you're upset or whatever, and you can't see it very clearly. It's not as cut and dry. And then if you just, yeah, please go ahead, jump
I'm
in.
sorry. I'm like, no, yeah, most
No, please.
definitely. I'm someone who's like, when I hear something I don't like, I'm just like, okay,
Mhm.
I'm blinded. Like that happened. My mind is
Mhm.
not gonna focus on any other emotions. Like why, when, don't talk to me, I'm mad. Like that's how I was like that's what I like
Yeah.
but instead I should be like understanding other perspective, another point of view and like trying to put myself in their shoes. So we're growing to be like that.
For sure. Yeah, no, that's so important. And it's such a like a mature way to think about things because it's like showing restraint, not being so like quick to jump. You like before you react and before you say anything too much that can really change things, you just like take a step back and show a little restraint. Thank you so much, Julia. That's wonderful. Can I hear from someone else what may have come up in their group? One other volunteer? Oh, yes, please, Daniel.
Yeah, me and another person in my group talked about like problems of meeting up with friends and people we know, especially in high school and college where we get really busy. So it's kind
Mhm.
of hard to find time to just meet with them. And I think we both mentioned that we have like some problem with like our time management too, just because like it takes time for you to manage and organize times for you to meet up with your friend or your other friends. And you definitely need to have a good time management skills to do that. So I think that's definitely something we need to improve on. But yeah.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing, Daniel. That time management is like if it's not in the calendar, if like the minute it doesn't happen and you don't put it in your calendar, it's like your whole world is rocked. So how many times have you like gotten a surprise phone call? I just got one. I just got a surprise phone call from a doctor from a telehealth appointment. I was like, why are they calling me? I have youth champs right now. And I got freaked out for a second, like, how did I forget? No, it was on them, not me, because I had put it in my calendar for tomorrow when I don't have anything. But like that calendar is so key and being able to manage everything. So thank you. Thank you guys all for sharing. Let's jump to the next slide, please. All right. On this slide over here, we're talking about building critical thinking skills. Um, so there's three different, I suppose, points here that really kind of like challenge our perceptions here. The first one being is old solutions don't always work for new problems. So recycling your old way of thinking and keep hitting the problem with the same solution doesn't always kind of solve your problem. It's like you're using the same tactics and tools because they're familiar. It's something that not because it's worked, but it's just because it's familiar. This is the way, this is your approach. Um, but taking a step back and really thinking about like, okay, has this worked? And all it takes is that moment, but getting to that moment would actually take taking a step back from yourself a little bit too, and thinking of a new way or a new approach that might, turn its access a little bit. I mean, you see that every day, right? I feel like innovators respond to problems and situations in different ways, and then we have a different way of looking at things. We don't use the same communication tools, for example, that we used 15 years ago. That's always developing, and it really takes a person to look at a new a problem and look at a new solution for it. So It's wonderful that we can think of people, like I said, innovators that might look at a different approach, a fresh approach, new eyes. And the second here is creativity grows when people explore many options before deciding. Um, in this, obviously creativity grows, it continues to expand. Your breath, the way that you uh, look at your different options and how you're going to proceed. So maybe testing out different methods to see what works is a really great opportunity to approach problem in a different way. And lastly, people do not need to fix an entire problem all at once. So maybe it's a slow roll sometimes. It doesn't all have to be um, addressed in one fell swoop, but it's like steps. Like, I don't know, first you have an issue with, there's like the big problem, the big, you need to get your driver's license. I always go back to this point, and you take steps to get to that point. Maybe you missed the cutoff, and so you need to find a way to fix that problem and get yourself to that place and point. So also just like the idea of breaking things up a little bit, like not tackling an entire project all at once, or not all at once, but looking at like a really big issue, you can break it up into different chunks, like we talked about in the very beginning, and break it off so it doesn't feel so overwhelming. Um, this is a really great example of an approach to a bigger problem and issue. I'm trying to think um, of like an example, like I don't know. If you all, does anyone have an example here of something maybe they experienced in like the last few weeks, like a really, really big problem that they kind of had to approach in a different manner and like break it up into smaller pieces? Anyone? No? Okay. All right. Well, let's just go to the next slide then. All right. Your next online workbook question is, this is the last and final. What challenge have you faced recently, and how could you break that down into smaller pieces? So, um, please take some time to think about this, and we will rejoin over here in just a few. My goodness. Okay. I'd love to hear from someone what they may have shared in their workbook. Can we get a volunteer? Can we get a couple of volunteers? My goodness, you guys are so quiet today.
I call on someone, Jenny. Let's hear from Miguel Ortega.
For me, a challenge I faced recently was actually with when I was working with a team and that I've never met, and we're trying to solve like a community problem. And I guess like a way I could figure out if like breaking it down, it's kind of learning like each individual member and just kind of further learn about them and like their specialties as like working with a team.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. Did you all approach it in like a different way? Like you all decided to take on a different piece of, how the resolution and how to resolve the problem that you all had?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, well, thank you. May I have another volunteer, please? Well, you all wrote something in your workbook. Leticia, please share.
So what I wrote in my workbook was the challenge that I recently faced was having to reschedule my leadership event because I'm in leadership for my school. So we each have to plan a event, and the event I planned was it's called Puzzle with Kindness, and essentially each student gets to decorate a puzzle piece, and our goal was for all students to have a mental health break, to have an outlet and vent, to express like what they're feeling about like what's happening in the world. So yeah, that was our event, and but we faced a challenge just because of what's happening in the world. Our school decided to form a walkout, and so the day that the walkout was the event that we was the date of the event that we had chosen. So it was on February 4th. So we needed to so when we heard about the walkout and the date it was being held on, we had to essentially change the date. So I guess the challenge essentially was that we had to find a day that worked for our students, but also for our schedule because we have extracurriculars, and sometimes it's hard to carry all the stuff that we bring from home back, especially if you have like sports and stuff. And yeah.
Wow, it sounds like a sketch like a coordinating all of those pieces are part of a much bigger problem, and the coordination itself sounds like a nightmare. Were you able to successfully reschedule that
Yes, I
for
was,
this year?
yeah.
That sounds like an impossible feat because that's a lot of people and the school too. You've got all of these different schedules and people's commitments and all of that. And it's February, so it's packed. What is this? Where did you plan? Was there like a committee that planned this event, or was it just you?
Well, since there's like since so our school has two periods where they have two leadership classes. So each student has to plan at least two events per semester. So you
Oh.
essentially like anyone in the class, you could potentially make a leadership event. So I decided to do it with my table, which is just like me and three other people. So I had to just align with everyone's schedule. but also think about if there's another leadership event happening on the same day, it might interfere with how many people decide to participate in our event. So,
Hmm.
and also like if we did decide to do it on the same day as another person's event, then we would have to think about how many people participated in our event. So we just decided to do it on a day that there was no other events, so more people could participate in our event.
Well, this whole event, I mean, to plan it from start to finish was probably a multi-step process that required a lot of time, attention, planning, and all of that. And so obviously that's something you can't even do in one day. So I'm sure you had to like take it piece by piece. Um, and there were so many different parts to that to basically arrive to that day too. Um, well, thank you for sharing. I think this basically concludes our subject here, but can we go to the next slide, please? All right, so for this next class, it's entitled Becoming Your Own Design Architect. So in next week's class, we will explore how our surroundings and subtle cues influence daily decisions. We'll learn how nudging works and practice designing positive nudges to support their goals. By understanding these influences, we will gain the awareness to make intentional choices and shape better outcomes. So, this all sounds interesting. I'm not sure what all of this means, so I'm excited to like go through this and learn a little bit more about this. But yeah, we will definitely cover this and we'll get into it next week. Um, can you please go to the next slide? Oh, if you all want to take 90 seconds to finish up any workbook questions, please take this moment. All right, perfect. Hope you all were able to complete all of your workbooks. In our announcements, we have, it's not on here, but excuse me, not tomorrow, but on Saturday, we have the finance. Oh my gosh, I need to hold on. Let me pull it up really quick. I think it's in the link should be in the chat here, but there's an opportunity to sign up still for Saturday's field trip. You guys, I went to it last week, and if you were asked to ask your peers, it's really interesting. I'm going to go again this week, and actually I'm going to bring my son with me too. It's really, really interesting. I wish that we had these tools to when I was growing up, because there's nothing more important than being a driver in your own sort of financial planning and understanding what all of that means. Like figuring this all out as an adult is difficult. So the more you can understand, I can't tell you how impactful this event can be. So please, 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 if you have Saturdays free, this is definitely an opportunity to jump in and see what this is about and meet everybody in person too. So please sign up if you haven't already. Even though it's on Saturday, we would love to have you. We've extended the RSVP. So um, please go ahead and do that. Also, our Ignite Speaker Series, the next one coming up, we will let you know who the speaker is. We don't have one selected yet, but just mark your calendars that it will be happening on March 2nd here. And the RSVP for that is on the 27th. So we'll keep you posted. We'll probably share those details out of who the speaker is and the subject as well in the next few weeks. And the student leader form is now open. So please, if you have any interest in that, if you weren't a student leader last semester, this is a good opportunity for you. So I don't know, take this opportunity and do that as well. A leadership position is always wonderful and great. So that's still open and you can still sign up. Just a couple points on that. You will lead small groups, support classmates, and keep the energy alive in workshop and events. So that deadline has been that deadline is February 12th at 5 p.m. So you still have time and chance, so check your calendars and see if this is something that you can realistically work in. YC stuff, I think that concludes everything, right? Right? Unless you all have something you want to share, state, or ask.
Yeah, that wraps up everything. Jenny, thank you so much for leading the class tonight. I know you're not feeling very well, but in the end, it went well. And I also wanted to thank everyone for attending today's class. We all hope to see you on the next one. And if you have any questions, you can stay in the meeting because we still have time. Thank you all, and you have a great night. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, YC staff. Thank you.